You've made it to the soft scoop, where the headlines are soft and the stories are slower, and the goal is simple, to help you relax, unwind, and maybe even drift off. Let's catch up, quietly. Once upon a time, in a place far north of just about everything, there was an island bigger than all but 12 countries in the world. It was enormous, mostly ice, and almost entirely empty. It had no real military power, no great cities, and fewer residents than most mid-sized towns. And yet somehow, it found itself at the center of a quiet but crucial geopolitical tug-of-war. Tonight, let's gently unpack the curious case of Greenland, why it matters so much, who wants it, and what this giant icy island tells us about global politics today. Let's start with the basics. Greenland is massive. It's located between North America and Europe, technically part of the Kingdom of Denmark, though it enjoys significant autonomy. Its geography is mostly rugged, remote, and stunningly beautiful, but also incredibly challenging. The population? Barely over 56,000 people. Yet, beneath this quiet, snowy surface lies serious strategic importance. Greenland sits near the Arctic, a region increasingly crucial in global politics, trade, and climate strategy. As global warming slowly melts the Arctic ice, new shipping lanes are opening up, shorter and more direct routes connecting Europe, Asia, and North America. Whoever controls these waterways can influence trade routes, access resources, and have critical strategic positioning. And that brings us to why major powers have quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, expressed interest. Back in 2019, Donald Trump famously declared an interest in buying Greenland outright. At the time, the idea was met mostly with laughter, confusion, and a swift rejection from Danish authorities. The Prime Minister of Denmark called it absurd, and the media turned it into a joke. But beneath the punchlines and confusion was a real strategic thought process, one that didn't originate with Trump and hasn't faded since. You see, Greenland is home to vast, untapped resources. Beneath its ice sheets and rugged terrain lie minerals crucial for modern technology and green energy. Rare earth minerals, used in smartphones, electric cars, batteries, and advanced weaponry, are abundant there, though difficult to access. As global demand grows, these resources become increasingly valuable. Whoever secures access to Greenland's rare earth reserves gains economic, technological, and military advantages. Then there's Greenland's military and geopolitical location. The US already has an airbase there, Thule Air Base, strategically placed to monitor missile launches and military activities in the Arctic. This military presence dates back to the Cold War, when Greenland was central to American plans for Arctic dominance and strategic defense. Today, as tensions quietly simmer between the US, Russia, and China, Greenland's position once again takes center stage. Speaking of China, in recent years, China has also shown significant interest in Greenland, not with offers to purchase outright, but through subtler moves. Chinese firms have sought to invest in Greenlandic infrastructure, mining operations, and telecommunications projects. On the surface, this might seem benign. Investment, after all, can boost local economies, but Western governments, particularly the US and Denmark, remain wary. They see these investments as potential backdoors for influence, strategic advantage, and leverage. All this quiet intrigue places Greenland in an awkward position. On one hand, Greenlanders enjoy a peaceful autonomy under Denmark and have little interest in becoming a geopolitical chess piece. They'd rather focus on local issues, climate change, economic growth, education, healthcare, and preserving their unique culture. But geopolitics has other ideas, and whether Greenland wants it or not, it's become central to the international scramble for influence in the Arctic. Climate change is another important element. Greenland's ice sheet is melting at an alarming pace, adding to global sea level rise and dramatically reshaping the local environment. Paradoxically, the faster Greenland's ice melts, the more accessible its resources and shipping routes become. That creates a disturbing incentive structure. The worse climate change becomes, the more valuable Greenland might be to major powers. Greenlanders themselves feel deeply conflicted. Many recognize economic opportunities from mining and investment, especially in remote communities. Yet they also fear exploitation, environmental damage, and losing their sovereignty. Indigenous Greenlandic culture prioritizes balance, sustainability, and community, values sometimes at odds with global corporate interests and big power politics. Recently, Greenland has navigated these complicated waters carefully. While welcoming foreign investments cautiously, they're equally wary of undue influence. They've established stricter regulations around foreign ownership and more transparency in deals. They want investment, yes, but on Greenlandic terms. Denmark, meanwhile, finds itself caught in a delicate balancing act. While Greenland has significant autonomy, Denmark handles foreign and defense policies. Denmark wants to support Greenland's economic aspirations without giving ground to potential geopolitical rivals. Their role is a tricky diplomatic dance: supportive, cautious, strategic. The United States has recently increased diplomatic overtures, embassies have reopened, visits from high-ranking officials have increased, and there's talk of renewed strategic partnerships beyond simply military presence. The U.S. clearly recognizes Greenland's importance and wants to solidify relations in a friendlier manner than Trump's blunt offer of purchase. Meanwhile, Russia's military buildup in the Arctic adds another layer of urgency. Military installations, nuclear submarines, missile testing sites, Russia has significantly boosted its Arctic presence. Greenland's location puts it directly in the crosshairs of potential geopolitical tension. Peaceful now, but quietly tense. All this may seem like a complicated web of intrigue, especially for a quiet island with fewer people than a small city. Yet it makes perfect sense in today's global landscape. Geopolitics aren't about population size, they're about location, resources, and influence. Greenland quietly ticks all these boxes. So, while Trump's suggestion of buying Greenland felt absurd at the time, it was rooted in real strategic logic, awkwardly delivered, but genuinely considered. Greenland, in truth, cannot be ignored. Its silence is its strength, its ice-covered vastness a paradoxical asset. As Greenland continues to navigate its place on the world stage, the conversation around who gets to decide its future becomes more important than ever. Calls for full independence from Denmark have grown louder in recent years, particularly among younger Greenlanders who envision a nation fully in charge of its own resources, its policies, and its international identity. But independence isn't simple. It would require economic stability, international alliances, and infrastructure, things that can't be built overnight, especially in such a remote and challenging environment. The future of Greenland also rests heavily on the climate. It's one of the few places on Earth where global warming isn't just a future scenario, it's a daily reality. Melting glaciers, shifting ecosystems, and eroding coastlines are changing the landscape faster than many locals can adapt. And with each environmental shift, the world's eyes only grow more focused on the island, its resources, its shipping routes, and its strategic value. In the midst of all this, Greenland's indigenous communities are stepping forward, not just as cultural stewards, but as political voices. Inuit leaders are advocating for a future that protects Greenland's environment, respects its traditions, and ensures that any development, investment, or international engagement is done with care. Not for the sake of profit, but for the people who've called this vast icy land home for centuries. And maybe that's where Greenland's true power lies, not just in its minerals or its maps, but in its quiet insistence on doing things differently. One area that's quietly emerging in Greenland's strategy is digital sovereignty. With increasing global interest in Arctic data infrastructure, like undersea cables and satellite coverage, Greenland is positioning itself as more than a passive landmass. Its geographic location makes it a potential relay point between continents, and as the world grows more connected, Greenland wants to ensure that digital infrastructure built on its soil reflects its values, not just foreign agendas. Cybersecurity, internet access, and data ownership are no longer abstract ideas here. They're part of the geopolitical conversation. At the same time, Greenland remains active in multilateral Arctic forums, particularly the Arctic Council. While not a voting member, Greenland participates alongside Denmark and has made clear its desire for greater recognition of indigenous voices in shaping Arctic policy. These diplomatic spaces may seem slow-moving, but they're essential. In a region where tensions could easily escalate, cooperation on research, environmental protection, and conflict prevention remains one of Greenland's most valuable tools. Quiet, deliberate diplomacy is, after all, Greenland's strength. Looking forward, Greenland will likely remain quietly crucial to international politics. The melting Arctic will reshape global trade routes, climate strategies, and geopolitical dynamics for decades. Greenland's role will only increase, and its own autonomy, culture, and sustainability must navigate this carefully. It's a balance many small nations know too well: the balance of opportunity and exploitation, sovereignty and dependence, quietness and influence. That's it for tonight's episode of The Soft Scoop. Whether Greenland was already on your radar, or you've just discovered its quiet importance, we hope this gentle journey into geopolitics gave you new perspectives softly. Rated 4 yawns out of 5 because geopolitics can indeed be dreamy when explored softly. Sleep well, the world can wait.